The Justice Con stuff, putting it on is just amazing, and so I was more than honored to like do whatever I could to participate. Yeah, I may show a clip, and it is a small clip, but I may. What did I say? And also maybe there's another little, like a teeny little kind of another announcement as well, like a little side thing just for the fans. The clip is that's gonna be fun.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This is going to be my new Justice League Snyder Cut video. Zack Snyder made a couple really big announcements. He did a really big interview talking about the Snyder Cut and what's going to be different. He revealed a bunch of new details, so we'll break it all down. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. Of course, I'll be doing videos for all the Comic-Con trailers that dropped this week, so as long as you have alerts enabled for my channel, you should see all those videos when they post. And I'll do some cool Comic-Con giveaways during those videos too. But I'll just number these as we go along just to stay organized, because the interview that he did was really long. There were a bunch of things that he talked about. First big thing, like he says during the clip that I attached to the beginning of this, the stuff that he's going to be showing off, the footage this weekend, is going to be Saturday. It's going to be really cool. Now, he doesn't say exactly what's going to be in the clip, but he does make it sound like it's going to be a pretty big deal. The last big clip that we got had a bunch of Darkseid, Wonder Woman stuff in it as part of the Darkseid bits of the movie that they're going to be adding back in, just because Darkseid really didn't figure into the theatrical cut at all. I've already talked about a lot of the deleted scenes that we know are coming back in, but because the Snyder Cut is going to be so much longer with so much different footage and storylines, there's still a lot of stuff that we don't know yet. He also reveals that while that's happening, they're going to be making a special announcement for the fans. He made a joke about that, like, oh, you know, everything is kind of supposed to be for the fans. But the way he talks about the quote-unquote special announcement makes it sound like it's going to be some new character that he's revealing is going to show up. I know people have been hoping for Martian Manhunter. It could be something else. It could be a special Green Lantern announcement, because that's the other big character that people are hoping to see show up.
You're welcome, Canada.
I just did a big video about the alternate ending that we found out about. Originally, Zack Snyder had planned for a big Green Lantern post-credit scene in his cut of the movie. He'll also probably formally announce an even bigger version of the trailer at the DC Fandom Comic-Con panel in August. So there's going to be a lot of DC Comic-Con related panels happening this summer. Just one of those is happening this weekend for the Justice League Snyder Cut. All the other DC movies, including another Justice League Snyder Cut panel, will happen in August. If you've been wondering what all those teasers that DC dropped recently for DC Fandom Comic-Con, that's what that stuff is for. The next big thing he talked about during this was more evil black suit Superman scenes that he's adding back into the movie. He talks about wanting Superman to go on more of a character journey in terms of reconciling his morality, his place on Earth, his relationship with Lois Lane, a human, and how that relationship affects the way he relates to humanity, and how watching Superman grapple with those things makes him a more relatable character. How he's trying to take Superman to the pinnacle of what he can be through Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, and Justice League, considering he's been on this character arc since the Man of Steel movie. But the whole thing with the evil black suit version of Superman that people have been talking about that was taken out of the theatrical cut, that stuff is there just to round out his character arc to give it the full dramatic weight. That's kind of one of the reasons why his arc didn't resonate quite as much in the theatrical cut, and the fact that he really wasn't in the movie that much, mostly because so much of it was dedicated to this subplot with the black suit Superman stuff. He talks a lot about Ben Affleck's Batman during the Snyder Cut, and especially during Batman v Superman 2, and how it focuses so much on Bruce Wayne as opposed to just straight up Batman. Obviously there's a lot of Batman running around in his Batman costume, but a lot of our time with Ben Affleck's Batman has been with the Bruce Wayne version of the character, not so much with Batman. He even talked about how he's excited for Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson's The Batman 2021 movie next year. He's just super excited to see it, and has nothing but praise for Matt Reeves as a filmmaker, and he really likes Robert Pattinson as Batman. Zack Snyder is a really cool dude, so you expect him to say nice things about other filmmakers, but it is cool to see him praise Matt Reeves so much as a filmmaker. I'm not expecting to get a ton of footage for the Batman movie at the DC Fandom Comic-Con panel in August, just because they've only been filming the movie for a little while. But they might show off some sort of teaser or some concept art or character reveals and costumes. Like, there's still a couple big characters from the movie that we haven't seen yet. The next big thing he talked about was Wonder Woman and Aquaman in the Snyder Cut, more of their story as loners having to find their place in this new team all of a sudden, how they both have so much stuff going on outside of what's happening during the events of the movie, like Wonder Woman thinking about her own future. The way he talked about it, Wonder Woman is also thinking about her own future inside the DCEU, reconciling with Themyscira and the other Amazons after having left so many years ago with Steve Trevor. Then all the stuff that Aquaman is grappling with, him trying to figure out his own future because he has to go become King of Atlantis after the events during this movie. So remember that everything that happens during the Justice League Snyder Cut still takes place before the Aquaman movie. But he also talked a lot about the Cyborg character during the Snyder Cut and how initially when they were first making the movie, they wanted to make him the heart of the movie from the very beginning. So apparently he has this huge arc between where he's at the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie, and how he plays a really big role in bringing the actual team together. That'd probably be one of the biggest character turns from the theatrical cut. Now, Zack Snyder said that he hadn't seen the theatrical cut, but if you remember in the theatrical version of the movie, Wonder Woman kind of had to drag him along into the team, so it sounds like the Snyder cut version of Cyborg is completely different. The other really big thing that he talked about that I know everyone's been wondering about is how the Justice League Snyder Cut fits into DCEU continuity. Like, people are wondering, is this going to replace the theatrical cut? Will the Snyder Cut be the new canon for those characters going forward? We have to remember that a lot of the new DC movies already take place after the events of Justice League, so a lot of the characters have already gone off in their different directions. Like Wonder Woman 3 will be set during present day after the events of Justice League, so she'll be going off in her own direction based on what Patty Jenkins wants to do with that character. The way Zack Snyder talked about it, he talked about his movies like Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Justice League Snyder Cut as the Snyderverse being its own self-contained thing, even though technically it is connected to the other Justice League movies that those characters appear in. But the way he's thinking about it himself as he's finishing this version of the movie is that it's his own special project and the other directors come in and do what they want with those characters. So obviously because he's finishing this and it's kind of a different version of the movie after they do something like, say, the Aquaman movie, which takes place after it, the stuff that happens with Aquaman during the Snyder Cut won't change what's happening during the Aquaman movie. I think I did a video a while ago after the theatrical cut came out because we knew about a lot of the deleted scenes. There was a giant subplot with Aquaman and Vulko in Atlantis during the Snyder Cut, so we'll probably see a lot of that footage come back in. For those of you that are hoping for a really long version of the movie too, he did say that he was expecting it to be way longer than initially reported. So early on he said it'd be probably around 4 hours long. Now he says it might actually wind up being longer than that. So the fact that it seems like it's getting so much longer just in terms of sheer runtime makes it more likely that they will wind up releasing it as, say, like a couple different episodes weekly instead of just dropping an entire 4 to 5 hour movie. When they made the initial announcement that they were actually doing the project, they said that there were a couple different release schedules that Warner Brothers was considering for HBO Max. It was either going to be a traditional just movie release, like here's the new cut of the movie, everybody enjoy it, or they would wind up releasing it as a different 6-part series just based on the total runtime. They made a lot of Watchmen comic book comparisons, like breaking it up like you would break up the Watchmen comic book to different episodes, but each of those episodes' runtimes was kind of in question. It would just depend on how long the total runtime of the movie would be. In terms of release date, most outlets have been reporting spring 2021, which would be sometime around April, May, maybe early June, just depending on what happens in the next 6 months. There's a lot of movies that we were supposed to be seeing right now that have now been delayed, like Christopher Nolan's Tenet just got removed from the release schedule, and they said that they have a really weird release plan for it around the world. So some of you that live outside the United States will start getting movies in theaters before the United States does, and if you do live inside the US, we might start seeing movies in theaters later this year in certain parts of the country, but maybe not everywhere. So while the movie release schedule stuff for 2020 the rest of the year is going to get way more confusing before it gets simpler. But don't worry, if there are any big announcements about bigger movie release dates, of course I'll include that in my videos. If we're just talking about DC movies, Wonder Woman 1984 is still supposed to come out in October, but they might wind up changing that. I assume that they'll have some announcements to make about that at the big DC Fandom Comic-Con panels next month. Everyone, let me know in the comments, though, what are you most looking forward to about the Snyder Cut? I know everybody just wants to see movies again, no matter how they release them. If it's going to be video on demand or movies in theaters, we just want to see some new movies. While you wait for everything, click here for my brand new Wonder Woman 1984 trailer and learn about the special prequel story they just released. And click here for that last big Justice League Snyder Cut trailer. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe. I'll see you guys tonight.